Yo, why's this black kid even sitting here? This ain't the welfare section, boy. Your kind should know where you belong. Cody Mitchell stood on a cafeteria chair at Roosevelt High, eggs in hand. 200 students froze. The first egg exploded on Blake Abbott's head. Yolk poured down his dark skin, soaking his worn hoodie. This is what happens when you forget your place. Another egg, then another. Blake sat perfectly still. 3 eggs, 4, 5, 6. Students roared with laughter. Someone started a live stream. 3,000 viewers flooded in. Comments flew, This is wild. Get him Cody. Nobody helped. By the 8th egg, his glasses were covered in slime. By the 12th, nobody in that room knew they were about to witness something that would change everything. Have you ever seen the exact moment someone's life changes forever? In 8 seconds, this video hit 50 million views because nobody knew what Blake Abbott had been hiding. 6 weeks earlier, Blake Abbott was invisible. That's how he liked it. Every morning at Roosevelt High, he'd slip through the hallways with his head down, earbuds in, avoiding eye contact. His backpack was held together with duct tape. His sneakers had holes in the soles. When other kids talked about summer vacations and new phones, Blake stayed quiet in the back of the classroom. He lived with his mom, Vanessa, in a 1-bedroom apartment on the south side of Philadelphia. She worked double shifts as an ICU nurse, sometimes pulling 16 hours straight to keep the lights on. Medical bills from Blake's father's death still haunted them 8 years later. Officer Derek Abbott had been shot responding to a robbery. The city paid for the funeral. Everything else landed on Vanessa's shoulders. Blake remembered his father's last words to him. Stand up for what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He kept his dad's police badge in a shoebox under his bed. Some nights, he'd take it out and just hold it, wondering if his father would be proud of who he was becoming. At school, Blake was a 3.8 GPA student, smart enough to get noticed, poor enough to get ignored. Teachers liked him because he never caused trouble. Students forgot he existed. He ate lunch alone at the corner table every single day. He volunteered at the library during free periods, shelving books in silence. To everyone at Roosevelt High, Blake Abbott was just another broke kid trying to get by. But every morning before school, Blake had a different life. At 5 a.m., while Philadelphia slept, he'd wake up in the dark. He'd slip out of the apartment quietly so his mom could rest. Then he'd run 3 miles to Bennett Martial Arts Academy on the edge of town. Coach Bennett was waiting, always waiting. The 60-year-old former Navy SEAL never missed a morning. He'd unlock the door, flip on the lights, and Blake would bow before stepping onto the mat. For 2 hours, Blake transformed. The quiet, invisible kid became something else entirely. His body moved with precision that took 8 years to build. Every punch was calculated, every kick was controlled, every technique was drilled 10,000 times until it became instinct. Blake Abbott was a 3-time Pennsylvania State karate champion. He held a 2nd-degree black belt. He was the youngest in state history to reach that level. Last year, the Olympic training team had reached out. Blake said no. He didn't want the attention. He didn't want people at school treating him differently. He just wanted to honor his father's memory by becoming disciplined, focused, and strong. Coach Bennett understood. Real strength doesn't need an audience, he'd say. Real strength protects when it's needed and stays silent when it's not. So Blake kept his secret. No one at Roosevelt High knew. Not the teachers, not the students, especially not Cody Mitchell. Cody Mitchell was everything Blake wasn't. 6'2", 210 pounds of muscle, captain of the football team, son of Lawrence Mitchell, one of Philadelphia's most expensive lawyers. Cody drove a new truck his dad bought him. He dated Ashley Parker, the cheerleading captain. He had a full-ride scholarship offer to Stanford waiting for him after graduation. But Cody had a problem. Over the summer, he'd injured his shoulder during training. The scholarship people were concerned. His dad was furious. "You're not good enough, Cody. You've never been good enough." Those words echoed in Cody's head every single day. The pressure was crushing him, and when Cody felt weak, he needed to make someone else feel weaker. That's when he noticed Blake Abbott, the quiet kid with the second-hand clothes, the one who never fought back, the perfect target. The first week of school started normal enough. Blake walked through the main hallway on Monday morning, backpack slung over one shoulder. He wasn't paying attention when he turned the corner. His shoulder bumped into someone solid. books scattered across the floor. Blake looked up. Cody Mitchell stood there, rubbing his shoulder, the same shoulder he'd injured over the summer, his face twisted with pain and anger. "Watch where you're going, scholarship trash!" Cody's voice echoed down the hallway. Students stopped and stared. Blake bent down immediately. "Sorry, man, I didn't see you. Are you okay?" Cody kicked Blake's algebra book across the floor. "Do I look okay? You think you can just run into people? Someone like you?" Blake gathered his books quickly, keeping his eyes down. "It was an accident. I'm sorry." He walked away before Cody could say anything else. His heart pounded, but his breathing stayed controlled. Just like Coach Bennett taught him, stay calm, don't engage, walk away. But as Blake disappeared into the crowd, Cody watched him move. Something was off. The way Blake shifted his weight, the balance in his steps, too smooth, too controlled. Most kids stumbled when they were nervous. Blake moved like water. Wednesday in the gym locker room, Cody's suspicion grew stronger. Blake was changing into his gym clothes in the corner, trying to stay hidden as always. But for just a second, Cody caught a glimpse. Under that baggy hoodie, Blake had definition. Real muscle. Not the kind you get from regular gym class, the kind that takes years of serious training. Cody's mind started racing. What was this kid hiding? Thursday morning at 6 a.m., Cody drove to physical therapy for his shoulder. The sun wasn't up yet. The streets were empty. He took a different route through the south side, passing shuttered shops and old buildings. Then he saw it. Bennett Martial Arts Academy. A light was on inside. Cody slowed down. Through the window, he could see someone executing a perfect flying kick. The figure spun mid-air, landing in a fighting stance. Cody squinted. No way. It couldn't be. But it was. Blake Abbott, moving like a completely different person. Cody's jaw clenched. He pulled out his phone and started searching. Pennsylvania Karate Championships, youth divisions, black belt divisions. There were videos, but the competitors wore helmets and protective gear. He couldn't confirm faces, but the technique looked familiar, real familiar. Cody sat in his truck outside the dojo, watching Blake through the window for 20 minutes. His mind was made up. This kid was a threat, and threats needed to be eliminated before they became problems. He pulled up his group chat with Kyle, Brett, and Justin. New target, Blake Abbott. We need to destroy this kid before he becomes a problem. Week 2 started with milk. Cody walked past Blake's lunch table on Monday and accidentally knocked over a carton. White liquid splashed across Blake's tray, soaking his sandwich. Students nearby laughed. Blake said nothing. He just wiped the table with napkins and kept eating what was left. Tuesday, it was ketchup. Cody squeezed packets all over Blake's backpack. Red streaks covered the worn fabric. Blake discovered it during 5th period and cleaned it off in the bathroom without telling anyone. Wednesday, Cody shoved Blake's books off his desk during history class. They crashed to the floor. Mr. Reynolds looked up. "Everything okay?" Blake nodded and picked up his things. Thursday, someone posted a photo of Blake eating lunch alone. The caption read, "When the diversity quota walks by itself." It got 200 likes in an hour. Blake saw it. He didn't respond. Friday, Cody got bolder. He cornered Blake at his locker after school. Kyle, Brett, and Justin flanked him. "You know what I hate? Kids who don't know their place." He shoved Blake against the metal lockers, hard. Blake's head hit with a clang. He steadied himself. "I don't want any trouble." "Then stay out of my way." Cody walked off laughing. But Blake didn't react the way Cody expected. No fear, no tears, no running to teachers, just silence. It frustrated Cody to his core. Why wouldn't this kid break? Across the hallway, Sophie Graham watched through her camera. She'd been documenting everything for 2 weeks. Every shove, every insult. She saved it all on a USB drive. Week 3 got worse. Monday morning, Blake found his locker jammed with glue. All his textbooks were missing. Tuesday, someone spread a rumor that Blake was dealing drugs. 2 teachers questioned him. The assistant principal searched his backpack. They found nothing, but the rumor stuck. Wednesday after practice, Cody sat in his truck. His phone buzzed. A text from his dad. "Got your midterm report. B- in chemistry? This is why Stanford is questioning you. You're not good enough." Cody threw his phone into the passenger seat. His hands shook. Not good enough, never good enough. The pressure felt like drowning. Ashley called. "Babe, Why are you so obsessed with that Blake kid? You don't get it. He acts like nothing touches him. He's a nobody. That's the problem. He should be scared, but he's not. That night at home, Cody's father was waiting in his study, expensive suit, cold eyes, glass of scotch in hand. Sit down. Lawrence Mitchell didn't look up from his laptop. Cody sat. He knew what was coming. Your coach called me today. Said you're not performing. The Stanford recruiter is coming in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Cody. Dad, I'm trying. I don't want excuses. I want results. Lawrence looked at his son. You know what happens if you lose that scholarship? Community college with the rest of the failures? Nothing Cody did was ever good enough. His father had been having this conversation with him since he was 8 years old. After being dismissed, Cody went to his room and punched the wall. His knuckles split. The pain felt better than the helplessness. The anger needed to go somewhere, and if it couldn't go toward his father, it would go toward someone else, someone weaker. Thursday morning, Cody walked into a convenience store and bought 24 eggs. The cashier gave him a weird look, but rang them up. Cody smiled as he carried them to his truck. Tomorrow was going to be different. Tomorrow he'd break Blake Abbott in front of everyone, make him a complete joke. Meanwhile, Blake woke up at 5 a.m. like always, but this morning felt different, heavier. At the dojo, Coach Bennett noticed immediately. You're tense. What's going on? Blake told him everything, the harassment, the escalation, the feeling that something big was coming. Coach Bennett listened carefully. You know what self-defense means? Protecting yourself when attacked, when you have no other choice, when walking away isn't possible. Coach looked Blake in the eye. If someone corners you and attacks you in front of witnesses, you have the legal right to defend yourself, but you need 3 things. Proof they attacked first, witnesses who can confirm it, and control. You use minimum force necessary, nothing more. Blake nodded slowly. Sometimes the world needs to see that good people can defend themselves, that bullies don't always win, but you can't go looking for the fight. It has to come to you. That afternoon, Blake stopped at an electronics store. He bought 2 small cameras, one for his backpack, one hidden in his jacket, both set to record continuously. Friday morning arrived. Blake walked into Roosevelt High knowing today was the day. He could feel it. Cody had been building to something all week. At lunch, Blake sat at his usual corner table. He pressed record on both cameras. Then he unwrapped his sandwich and waited. Across the cafeteria, Cody walked in carrying a paper bag. Kyle, Brett, and Justin followed him, grinning. Students noticed something was off. Conversations quieted. Cody climbed onto a chair. He pulled out the carton of eggs. Someone in the back started filming on their phone. Then another. Within seconds, someone hit Go Live on Instagram. The viewer count climbed fast. 500 people, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Comments started flooding in. Yo, what's happening? Is that Cody Mitchell? Someone's about to get wrecked. Blake saw Cody standing above the crowd. Their eyes met for a split second. Blake's hands stayed flat on the table. His breathing slowed. In, out, just like Coach Bennett taught him. Cody's voice exploded across the cafeteria. Yo, why's this black kid even sitting here? This ain't the welfare section, boy. Your kind should know where you belong. The first egg left Cody's hand. Blake didn't move. The shell cracked against the top of his head. Yolk poured down his face. The cafeteria erupted. Some students gasped. Others laughed. Most just pulled out their phones. The live stream viewer count jumped to 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. 2 hours earlier, Blake stood in the center of the dojo mat. The sun wasn't up yet. Coach Bennett watched him move through techniques. Each strike was precise, each block controlled, but something was different. You're holding back, Coach said. Blake stopped. What if I hurt someone today? What if I can't control it? Coach Bennett walked closer. You've trained for 8 years. You know exactly how much force to use. Trust your training. But what if people say I went too far? Then you make sure every second is recorded. Every angle, every witness. Let the truth speak for itself. Coach put his hand on Blake's shoulder. Your father didn't die so you could live in fear. He died protecting others. Today you protect yourself with honor, with control, and with the world watching. Blake bowed to his teacher. Then he went home and packed his backpack. He checked both cameras. Fully charged. Plenty of memory. He ate breakfast with his mom before she left for work. "Have a good day, baby," Vanessa said, kissing his forehead. "You too, Mom." Blake walked to school alone. The morning air was cold, his hands were steady, his mind was clear. He'd been preparing for this moment his entire life, not just in the dojo, but in every silent lunch, every ignored insult, every time he chose peace over violence. Today, peace was no longer an option. Today, Cody Mitchell would force his hand, and the whole world would see what happened when you pushed the wrong person too far. The first egg exploded against Blake's head. Yolk burst across his face. The second hit his shoulder. The third smashed into his chest. Blake sat still as yellow slime dripped down his skin onto the table. His hands stayed flat. His breathing never changed rhythm. "This is what happens when you forget your place." Cody threw egg 4, 5, 6. Each one hit its target. Blake's glasses were covered in thick slime, but his breathing stayed controlled. In through nose, out through mouth, 8 years of Coach Bennett's training activating. The live stream exploded with viewers. 10,000 people, 15,000, 20,000. Comments flew past. This is crazy. This is insane. Where are the teachers? Somebody stop this." But no teachers came. They were on break. Perfect timing for Cody. Egg 7 hit Blake's face. The shell edge cut his cheek. 8 splattered across his backpack, soaking his notebooks. 9 covered his lap. Students screamed around him. Some laughed hysterically. Some looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Sophie stood 20 feet away, phone steady, capturing every second. Egg 10 landed on his shoulder. Cody jumped down and walked closer. 3 feet away now. Close enough to see Blake's eyes behind the yolk-covered glasses. Blake wasn't scared. He wasn't crying. He was waiting. "Your dad died a loser! You'll die a loser just like him!" That line crossed it. Blake's feet adjusted under the table. His hands curled slightly. Fight response activating, but Cody was too focused on the cameras to notice. Egg 11 sailed through the air. Blake's hand twitched, moved upward. Not fast enough to catch it, but fast enough that Cody saw the speed and felt something was wrong. "What are you?" Egg 12 left his hand. Blake's hand shot up and caught it mid-flight, 6 inches from his face. The egg sat intact in his palm, not a crack. The cafeteria gasped as one. 30,000 watching live now. "Did he just catch that?" "No way. Replay that." "How is that possible?" Blake stood slowly. Yolk dripped off him. He set the egg down gently, then looked straight at Cody. His voice was quiet but clear. "That's enough." Cody's face flushed red. His pride was shattered. "We're not done!" He grabbed Blake's arm and pulled back his fist. The next 8 seconds would be watched 50 million times. Second 1. Cody's fist came forward in a haymaker. Blake's head moved 2 inches right. The fist sailed past his ear. Second 2. Blake caught Cody's wrist. His other hand pressed Cody's elbow. He rotated both 90 degrees. Perfect leverage. Cody's face twisted. "Ah!" Blake stayed calm. "Stop now!" Second 3. Kyle charged from the left like a bull. Blake sidestepped. His legs swept Kyle's ankle. Kyle crashed into a table, trays flying. Not hurt, just shocked. Second 4. Brett and Justin rushed together. Blake dropped low. Sidekick caught Brett in the solar plexus. Hard enough to stop him. Brett staggered back, wind knocked out. Blake's hand blocked Justin's punch. Double strike to Justin's chest. Justin sat down hard. Second 5. Cody grabbed a metal lunch tray. Swung it at Blake's head like a bat. The crowd screamed. A tray to the skull could kill. Blake ducked smoothly. The tray slammed into the wall with a clang. Second 6. Cody charged again, screaming. Blake had no choice. Front kick, controlled, measured. Caught Cody in the abdomen. Cody doubled over, air leaving his lungs. Second 7. Blake moved behind Cody. His arm wrapped around Cody's neck. Control hold, not a choke. "I don't want to hurt you. Say you're done." Cody struggled. "I'll kill you." Blake added pressure to nerve points. "Say you're done." Second 8. Cody's hand slapped Blake's arm 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. "Done, done." Blake released immediately. Stepped back 10 feet, hands up, palms out, empty, non-threatening. His voice carried clearly. "I defended myself. I'm done. Someone call security." Chaos erupted, students screaming, some cheering wildly, some frozen in shock. The live stream hit 50,000 viewers. Comments were a blur. "Oh my God! Who is this kid? That was insane!" Sophie lowered her phone. She had everything, every angle, perfect evidence. Mr. Reynolds pushed through the crowd. "Everyone back! Blake, don't move!" Blake's hands shook from adrenaline. He looked at them. "I actually did it." Sophie ran to him. "Are you okay? Is Cody hurt?" The nurse checked Cody carefully. "He's fine. No injuries. Just bruised pride." Security arrived fast. Blake pulled both cameras from his backpack. "Everything's recorded here. Complete self-defense. 2 different angles." Cody was helped to his feet by his friends. His face was red from humiliation. Tears streamed down, not from pain, from shame. The whole school had watched the quiet kid dismantle him in 8 seconds. When Cody looked at Blake one last time, his expression had changed completely. Fear, and something like respect. The video spread like wildfire across the internet. First hour, 50,000 views combined. By hour 2, 500,000 people had seen it. Local Philadelphia news picked it up for evening broadcasts. Bullying victim fights back with martial arts. By hour 6, 5 million views. National news stations started calling the school. Who is Blake Abbott? Combat sports channels began analyzing the footage frame by frame. Look at this. Textbook self-defense. Minimal force, maximum control. This kid is seriously trained. Then old tournament footage started surfacing. Someone found Blake's competition videos from years ago. His face was hidden behind helmets, but the technique was identical. The precision, the control. Comments exploded again. He's a state champion? 3-time winner? Cody picked the worst kid. By 24 hours, 20 million views. The hashtag #JusticeForBlake was trending #1 in Philadelphia, then Pennsylvania, then nationwide. Students from hundreds of schools shared their bullying stories. This is what we all wish we could do. Finally, someone fought back the right way. This isn't violence. This is self-defense. News segments played the video on loop. Talk shows debated it. Was this justified? Should trained fighters be held to different standards? The conversation dominated every social media platform. Blake's face was everywhere. Every news channel, every website, every platform. People called him a hero, called him an inspiration, called him brave. But Blake didn't feel like any of those things. He felt terrified. Friday night, Blake sat in his small living room watching his own face on the television. His mom, Vanessa, sat beside him crying. Not from pride, from fear. "Baby, what's going to happen to you?" "I don't know, Mom." A sharp knock on their apartment door. Blake opened it. A man in an expensive suit stood there holding a manila envelope. His face was neutral, professional. "Blake Abbott?" "Yes." "You've been served. Have a good evening." He handed Blake the envelope and walked away. Blake's hands trembled as he opened it. His mom read over his shoulder. The legal document was dense, but certain phrases jumped out. Civil lawsuit, assault and battery, emotional distress, $5 million in compensatory and punitive damages. Lawrence Mitchell, Esquire, lead attorney representing Cody Mitchell III. Vanessa's legs gave out. She collapsed onto their worn couch. Her voice was barely a whisper. $5 million? Baby, we don't even have 5,000 in our account. What are we going to do? Blake stared at the papers. The words blurred together. He had won the physical fight in 8 seconds. The whole world had watched him defend himself, watched him use perfect control, watched him use minimal force, watched him stop the moment Cody submitted. But now he was about to lose everything else that mattered. Monday morning, Blake walked into Principal Sullivan's office. The man sat behind his desk with crossed arms. Lawrence Mitchell stood beside him in a $3,000 suit. Blake's mom, Vanessa, sat in the only other chair, nursing scrubs wrinkled from a double shift. "Blake, you're suspended pending investigation," Sullivan said. "He was attacked first." Vanessa's voice shook. 41 videos prove it. "He's a trained fighter, Mrs. Abbott. That changes everything." Sullivan met her eyes. "We have zero tolerance on violence." Blake spoke quietly. "So I'm guilty because I know how to defend myself?" Lawrence Mitchell stepped forward, voice smooth and cold. "My client suffered assault from someone with lethal training. We're seeking criminal charges and civil damages." He pulled out documents. "We've retained Dr. Eugene Crawford, former MMA fighter. His expert opinion, a trained martial artist's hands are deadly weapons." He slid a folder across the desk. Vanessa's public defender sat beside her. Maybe 30 years old, overworked. He flipped through the folder, face going pale, clearly outmatched. "We're filing criminal charges by week's end," Mitchell continued. "Assault with a deadly weapon. We expect the DA will prosecute." Blake felt the walls closing in. That same day, the media narrative started shifting. The Mitchell family hired Summit Crisis Management, one of Philadelphia's top PR firms. They moved fast. Tuesday morning, Cody appeared on the local news show. He sat in his living room, arm in a sling that hadn't been there Friday, face made up to emphasize bruising. He looked at the camera with sad eyes. "I admit I threw eggs. That was wrong, and I apologize." His voice cracked on cue. "But I'm 17. I made a stupid joke. I never expected him to try to kill me." He touched the sling. "I have nightmares now. I can't sleep. I flinch when people move near me." The interviewer leaned forward. "You're seeing a therapist?" "3 times a week. My therapist says I have PTSD. Cody's eyes got wet. "He's trained to hurt people. Why did he have to be so violent over some eggs?" The video went viral. 2 million views by noon. Wednesday, the headlines changed. "Trained fighter brutally attacks student over prank. Teen faces PTSD after school assault. When does self-defense become excessive force?" Legal experts appeared on panels. "Eggs aren't deadly force." His response was disproportionate. "If you're trained in combat, you have a responsibility to walk away." Then the edited video started circulating. Someone cut out the first 10 eggs, cut out Cody's racial slurs, cut out the lunch tray weapon. The new version started with Blake catching the egg. It made Blake look like the aggressor. The video spread faster than the original. Comments flipped. "Wait, maybe we got this wrong. That kid looks dangerous." Thursday, the character assassination went full force. Anonymous sources spoke to reporters. Blake always had anger issues. He was obsessed with fighting. We were all scared of him. Someone leaked a photoshopped image of Blake at a protest, edited to look violent. Then someone found Blake's father's police file and twisted it. Violence runs in the family. None of it was true. Attacks on his mother. Single mother couldn't control her violent son. Blake's world collapsed. At school, hearing scheduled for Monday. Potential expulsion, scholarship revoked. Liability concerns. Students avoided him in hallways. He ate lunch alone in empty classrooms. At home, his mom worked triple shifts for lawyers they couldn't afford. Bill collectors called constantly. Vanessa cried herself to sleep. Blake heard her through thin walls. At the dojo, parents pulled kids out. "I don't want my son near that violent boy." Enrollment dropped 40% in 3 days. Blake felt crushing guilt. "Coach, I'm destroying your business. Business rebuilds. Honor doesn't. You did right." Online, death threats flooded in. "We know where you live." Racist attacks, typical thug behavior. Cody Strong was now trending. Blake's accounts got suspended. Thursday night, Blake sat on his bedroom floor holding his father's badge. His hands shook. "Dad, did I do the right thing? Everyone says I'm the bad guy. Maybe I should have just taken it." He considered dropping out, pleading guilty to make it stop. His phone buzzed. Email from unknown address. Subject: "I covered your father's death. I want to help." Blake opened it. Victoria Lewis, Philadelphia Inquirer investigative journalist. "Blake, I've been researching the Mitchell family. They've done this before. 3 other victims, all paid off, all silenced with NDAs. I have documentation. Call me." Blake's hands stopped shaking. Friday morning, things shifted. Sophie walked into the principal's office with a USB drive. "I have 6 weeks of systematic bullying, 42 days, time-stamped." She handed it over. "This wasn't a prank. This was a campaign." Mr. Reynolds submitted written testimony. Risked his job. "I witnessed Cody bully 14 students this year. Administration did nothing." Other students came forward, 11 of them. "Cody did this to us too. We were too scared before." A former student broke his NDA publicly on social media. "The Mitchells paid my family $50,000 to stay quiet when Cody put me in the hospital. I'm done being silent." He posted the settlement agreement. Friday afternoon, Blake's phone rang. Unknown number. "Blake Abbott, Thomas Richardson, civil rights attorney. I'm taking your case pro bono, full representation, no cost." Blake couldn't speak. "Your retainer's been paid by an anonymous donor. We start discovery Monday." "Blake, we're not just defending. We're going on offense. The Mitchells have been buying silence for years. That ends now." Blake found Coach Bennett in the dojo office later. The older man was writing checks, retirement account statement open on the desk. "Coach, was that you? The lawyer?" Coach closed his checkbook. "Some battles are worth everything you have. Your father knew that." Blake's eyes filled with tears. Monday morning, Richardson called. "Blake, we found 7 previous Cody victims over 4 years. All minorities, all poor students. Mitchell's paid out $380,000 total, all sealed. We're breaking them all open. What if we lose? Then we appeal, then we go federal. This stops now, no more buying silence. Are you ready?" Blake looked at his father's badge. "I'm ready." The real battle was just beginning. The hearing was in Roosevelt High's auditorium. 200 seats, all filled. News cameras lined the back wall. This wasn't just a school hearing anymore. This was a public trial. Blake sat with Thomas Richardson and his mom. Across the aisle, Lawrence Mitchell had 3 associates and Cody. Judge Patricia Brennan sat between them, known for being fair and tough. Richardson leaned close. "Stay calm no matter what they say." Lawrence Mitchell stood first. Expensive suit, confident smile. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a young man with deadly skills who chose violence over walking away." He clicked a remote. The video played on the big screen, slowed down. Each of Blake's moves looked brutal. The side kick, the double strike. Mitchell paused on Cody's face, twisted in pain. "My client weighs 210 pounds, athletic, strong, yet this defendant neutralized him and 3 others with ease. This wasn't self-defense. This was dominance." He brought up Dr. Crawford, the MMA expert. "In my professional opinion, Mr. Abbott could have simply restrained them. These weren't defensive moves. They were offensive techniques." Mitchell pulled out medical reports. "My client has PTSD, ongoing therapy, nightmares. His football career may be over." He sat down, satisfied. Richardson stood slowly. Let the silence build. "Mr. Mitchell showed you 8 seconds. Let me show you what he didn't." The screen filled with 4 angles simultaneously, all starting from the beginning. 12 eggs, Richardson said quietly, thrown at a seated student who never moved, never responded. He let it play. Every egg, every laugh, every comment. The cafeteria roaring with approval. Then the audio. Cody's voice loud and clear. "Yo, why's this black kid even sitting here? This ain't the welfare section, boy. Your kind should know where you belong." The room went silent. Richardson paused it. This wasn't a prank. This was racial harassment that escalated to assault. He played more. The metal tray. Cody Mitchell swung a metal tray at Blake's head. A weapon that could kill. He paused again. Only then did Blake defend himself. He played the 8 seconds. Normal speed. Count how many times Blake could have seriously injured them but chose not to. He pulled every strike. Used minimal force. And the moment Cody submitted, Blake released him and stepped back. Richardson called Coach Bennett. The old man walked to the stand with military posture. "How long have you known Blake?" 8 years. "Has Blake ever acted with aggression?" "Never, not once. He walks away from sparring when opponents are hurt. This is a boy who holds doors for people." Vanessa testified next. Barely got through it. "His father died protecting people. Blake lives by that code. How is defending yourself wrong?" Mr. Reynolds testified. "I've seen Cody bully 14 students this year. Administration did nothing." Then Richardson played video depositions. Other victims, faces blurred. "Cody broke my arm. School called it an accident. He threw me downstairs. Mitchell's paid my hospital bill for silence. He carved a slur into my locker. Nothing happened. 7 victims, 7 payoffs. The pattern was clear. Then the surprise witness, Ashley Parker, Cody's girlfriend, former girlfriend. She looked scared but determined. "I can't watch him destroy another person." She pulled out her phone. "These are texts between Cody and his friends from the week before the eggs." Richardson displayed them on screen. Cody. "Blake needs to be put in his place before he thinks he's somebody." Kyle. "Why you so obsessed?" Cody. "Found out he does karate. Can't let him get confident. Gotta break him first." The room erupted. Judge Brennan slammed her gavel. "Order." "Did Cody know Blake was trained before the attack?" Richardson asked Ashley. "Yes, he saw Blake at the dojo. He targeted him specifically because of it." Lawrence Mitchell jumped up. "Objection. These are authenticated messages, Your Honor," Richardson said. "Overruled. Continue." Then Mitchell called Cody to testify. Trying to salvage the case, Cody walked to the stand looking young and scared. His father coached him through basics. Yes, he threw eggs. Yes, it was wrong. Yes, he was sorry. Richardson stood for cross-examination. He held up a document. Is this your therapy recording, obtained through subpoena? Cody's eyes went wide. Richardson pressed play. Cody's voice filled the room. I hate myself. I'm just like my dad. I hurt people because I hurt. Cody's face went white. Why did you target Blake specifically? Cody stuck to script. I didn't. It was a prank. Then explain this text. Blake needs to be put in his place. Why those exact words? Cody froze. Is it because Blake is black? Because he's poor? Because despite having nothing, he was happy? Something broke in Cody. His face crumpled. Because he has nothing and he's still happy. The words exploded. I have everything and I'm miserable. I wanted to break him because if he can smile with nothing, what does that make me? Dead silence. Cody cried. Really cried. My dad hits me. Every time I'm not perfect. I hit Blake because that's all I know. I'm sorry. His father stood. We need a recess. Sit down, counselor, Brennan said coldly. Your client is finally telling the truth. She turned to Blake. Mr. Abbott, could you have walked away? Blake stood. No, Your Honor. I was cornered. 12 eggs had hit me. He escalated to violence. Pennsylvania law allows self-defense when no safe retreat exists. Could you have hurt him more severely? Yes, ma'am, I chose not to. Every technique was designed to stop the attack without injury. That's what Coach Bennett taught me. Protect life, including the attackers. Brennan was quiet, then spoke. I've reviewed Pennsylvania statutes, all evidence and testimony. Mr. Abbott acted with remarkable restraint. Mr. Mitchell's size and aggression created reasonable fear. She looked at Cody. All charges against Blake Abbott are dismissed. Civil suit dismissed with prejudice. She turned to the school board. I'm ordering an investigation into this administration for systematic failure to address bullying. She looked at Cody directly. Mr. Mitchell, you will complete 200 hours community service, anger management, and therapy. Your father's money won't buy your way out. The auditorium exploded. Cheering, crying, cameras flashing. Blake hugged his mother. They both cried. Outside, media swarmed. Blake gave a statement. I don't celebrate this. 2 families are hurting. But maybe now things change. A reporter pushed forward. Are you pressing charges? No, but the school needs to answer for letting it happen. That night, Cody's breakdown went viral. 10 million views in 3 hours, 20 million by morning. The raw honesty, the pain in both stories. People couldn't look away. But Blake had no idea his story was about to spark something much bigger. 1 week after the hearing, Roosevelt High looked completely different. Principal Sullivan was fired. Vice principal demoted to teacher. 3 teachers who ignored bullying placed on administrative leave. New interim principal Dr. Elena Martinez, a black woman and former special education advocate, announced clearly, "Zero tolerance means zero tolerance for everyone. No exceptions." The Blake Abbott Student Protection Act passed in 10 days. Anonymous reporting app with mandatory 24-hour response. Full-time student advocate position created. Every teacher required to complete bystander intervention training. Security cameras installed in every hallway and cafeteria. Cody Mitchell's consequences came fast. Resigned as football captain, moved to different lunch period, mandatory therapy 3 times weekly. Stanford permanently revoked his scholarship. Community college accepted him conditionally with required counseling. His father Lawrence faced bar ethics investigation. His law practice lost half its clients within 2 weeks. But the biggest change was in Cody himself. 2 months later, Cody approached Blake outside the dojo after class. Blake tensed. Coach Bennett stepped closer protectively. Can we talk? Cody's voice was different, quiet, humble. They sat on the curb, long, awkward silence. I don't expect forgiveness, Cody said, staring at the ground. But how did you stay calm through everything? How didn't you become violent like me? Blake thought carefully. Because someone taught me real strength isn't about hurting people. It's about discipline and control. You never had that. Cody nodded slowly. My parents are divorcing. Dad's moving out and started therapy. First time ever. That's good for both of you? Can you teach me control? Not fighting, just discipline. Blake looked at Coach Bennett. The old man nodded approval. Coach will teach you. But you start as white belt. No shortcuts. Earn every belt. I understand completely. 6 months later, Cody saw a freshman being cornered by bigger kids. He stepped in, defended the kid using only words. When they tried to bait him into fighting, he walked away calmly. Blake watched from across the hall. They exchanged respectful nods. The national movement exploded beyond expectations. Stand Up safely hit 50 million posts the first month. Students nationwide shared bullying stories. Self-defense enrollment increased 450%. 130 schools adopted the Blake Protocol. 8 states introduced student self-defense protection bills. The laws protected students using reasonable force from automatic expulsion, required investigating bullying history before punishment. Blake testified before the Senate at 17. He sat at a formal table with microphones. Senators listened carefully. "I never wanted to fight. I wanted to feel safe. My school failed me. They'll fail others without change." His testimony got 15 million views. Bennett Martial Arts Academy grew explosively. 800 new applicants in 3 months. Coach opened 3 more locations, created scholarship program, 400 low-income youth training free weekly, curriculum redesigned completely, mandatory conflict resolution, de-escalation training, bullying awareness, building character, not just fighters. Blake became assistant instructor, teaching summer intensives, working with kids like his younger self. The quiet ones, the scared ones, the invisible ones. 12 universities offered full scholarships. Blake chose Howard University, historically black with strong reputation. Criminal justice major, conflict resolution minor. Goal: advocate for bullying victims, reform school policy nationwide. Graduation day 1 year later felt surreal. Blake walked across stage in cap and gown. The auditorium erupted. Students jumped up. Teachers stood clapping. Even doubting administrators applauded. After ceremony, Cody approached one last time. "I'm studying social work at community college. Gonna help kids like me who hurt others because they're hurting inside." "Good," Blake said sincerely. "The world needs people who've been where you were and chose differently." They shook hands, cameras filmed. This time, the story was redemption. Vanessa cried happy tears. "Your father would be so proud. Everything I did, I asked what Dad would do. You're the man I always knew you'd be." Coach Bennett presented Blake a special black belt. Gold embroidery read, "The strongest warrior is the one who never has to prove it." Blake bowed deeply. "Thank you for everything. You taught yourself, Blake. I only held the mirror." That night, Blake stood at his window looking at Philadelphia lights. 1 year ago, covered in eggs, humiliated, alone. Now, heading to college, changed 8 states, inspired millions. His father's badge on the desk. He picked it up. "I did it, Dad. I stood up when it was hard." Cold metal in his hand. But it felt like his father stood right there, proud. 3 years later, Blake Abbott stood in his Howard University dorm room watching his phone explode with notifications. Victoria Lewis's documentary had just dropped on Netflix. The Boy Who Fought Back, Blake Abbott's story premiered at Tribeca Film Festival the month before. Won the Audience Award. Now streaming to 40 million households worldwide. Blake was 19 now, taller, 175 pounds of solid muscle, founder of Stand Up, Speak Out student organization with chapters at 30 universities, still trained every morning before classes, still taught self-defense on campus twice weekly, 3.9 GPA, law school applications already submitted. He was dating Sophie Graham. She'd transferred to Georgetown nearby to study photojournalism. Her camera work had helped save his life. Now they were building a future together. The documentary changed everything again. Victoria had spent 2 years investigating, interviewing, filming. The final cut was devastating and beautiful. Blake's story, Cody's breakdown, the 7 other victims, the Mitchell family's pattern of buying silence, the hearing footage, the redemption arc. But the most shocking reveal came halfway through. Victoria had found 11 more Cody victims over 5 years. Not 7, 11. The total payout from the Mitchell family, $500,000 in hush money. The documentary went viral immediately, trending #1 in 60 countries. The comment section became a movement. "This is why we need reform. I was bullied too. Blake gave me courage to speak up. Schools protect bullies because of money. This has to stop." Cody's journey was featured prominently. Now 20 years old, social work student at Temple University, running a support group for former bullies called Breaking the Cycle with 15 members. Published an essay in Psychology Today, I Was the Monster, A Bully's Confession and Path to Redemption. The documentary showed Cody working with at-risk youth, teaching them what he'd learned the hard way. His father, Lawrence, appeared briefly, divorced, in therapy, no longer practicing law. "I failed my son. I'm trying to do better." Legislative victories accelerated after the documentary. The Blake-Abbott Act officially passed in Pennsylvania. 14 other states considering identical legislation. Federal hearings scheduled. The act protected students using self-defense, required bullying investigation before punishment, mandated yearly anti-bullying training, created student advocate positions in every district. Bennett Martial Arts Academy became an empire. 12 locations across Pennsylvania and New Jersey. 3,000 active students. 60% were former bullying victims. The scholarship program now served 400 low-income youth completely free. Blake was co-director, teaching intensive summer programs. Coach Bennett received the Presidential Citizens Medal at the White House. Blake stood beside him in the ceremony. President shook both their hands. "You're changing lives, both of you." The global impact was staggering. Stand Up Safely hashtag, 200 million posts worldwide. Blake's original video, 100 million views across all platforms. Self-defense enrollment up 450% globally. School policy reforms in 1,200 districts. 39 bullying prevention bills passed nationwide. The documentary ended with Blake speaking directly to camera, standing in the dojo wearing his GI, students training behind him. "3 years ago, I faced a choice. Stay silent or stand up. I chose to stand up, not with anger, not with revenge, but with dignity and discipline." He looked straight into the lens. "Some people call me a hero. I'm not. I'm just a kid who got tired of being afraid, who had someone teach him that strength isn't about fists. It's about character. If you're being bullied right now, document everything. Tell someone. Keep telling until someone listens. And if you must defend yourself, do it legally, safely, with witnesses. If you're a bully, it's not too late. Cody changed. You can too. Get help, because the person you're really hurting is yourself. And if you're a bystander, you're the most powerful person in the room. Your silence enables bullies. Your voice stops them. Choose your voice. The screen faded to text. Have you witnessed bullying? Share your story in the comments. You're not alone. Resources for bullying prevention and self-defense training available at standupsafely.org. Blake's final voiceover. "My dad used to say, do what's right, even when it's hard. It was hard. It almost broke me. But I'd do it again, because silence never defeated injustice. Action did." Pause. Then quietly, "Your move." The documentary ended with footage. Blake training students of all races. Cody volunteering with youth. Sophie documenting activism. Vanessa working as hospital advocate director. Coach Bennett teaching children. Roosevelt High hallways with anti-bullying posters. Kids laughing together in the cafeteria. Split-screen final image. Blake then, covered in eggs, alone. Blake now, confident, surrounded by students, smiling. Text appeared. "This is Blake's story. What's yours? Drop A if you've ever had to stand up for yourself. Tag someone who needs to hear this. Subscribe for more stories of courage. Fade to black. Sound of students counting in the dojo. Ichi ni san shai go. The legacy continues.